So are you brand new to investing and you're like, what in the hell should I buy? There's like 8,000 ETFs, 5,000 stocks. Like, what am I supposed to buy? You're young, you open up a Roth IRA, or you're older and you're like, oh crap, I gotta open a Roth IRA and play catch up. This is gonna be a real quick video. I don't wanna make this all complicated where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't feel like doing this. Most people invest without actually knowing what they're buying. So I feel like that's the first thing is, you'd be surprised how many people I've talked to that actually don't even know what they own, whether it's in their 401k, buying a specific mutual fund. They're not even sure what's in it or what the fee is. Before I mention what I think you should buy, this is not financial advice. This is just based off the data. When you buy a stock, you're not just buying a little ticker symbol on a screen that goes up and down every day. You're actually buying a piece of a real business. That business does well, value of your ownership goes up over time. Everybody treats ticker symbols and stocks like it's a lottery ticket, like it's a quick place to make money, but that's not really the case. A stock is just ownership. You own a small portion of a business. But if you're brand new to investing, you know, a lot of people don't even realize this, that they can buy stock in pretty much all the products and services they use. Like if you like Starbucks, instead of buying the coffee, you could buy you could share of the stock. You could become part owner of Starbucks or Nike or whatever products or services you tend to use a lot. You could, if you wanted to, become part owner of that company. Really what you're trying to do with investing is you're trying to store your energy over time without it losing value. You go to work every day and you're trading your physical energy for money. And you need to find a place where you can store that money that's going to go up more than the rate of inflation. So you can keep your purchasing power through time. This brings us to ETFs, where you might say, okay, maybe I don't want to buy a single stock when I'm first starting out, or maybe you do just to learn how to go on the brokerage and buy a stock. So ETFs are just a collection of stocks that are put together for you. Instead of owning one business, you're going to own multiple businesses, little pieces of each, all packaged together in one ticker symbol. Still ownership, it's just small slices of many businesses. ETFs are going to remove the pressure of you trying to be right with one single stock. It's going to remove that pressure, and what's going to do is it's going to allow you, instead of trying to be right and have a full-time job picking stocks, reading about earnings reports, you're going to be able to focus on consistency. So you can focus on your income, working at your job, running your business, whatever it is you're doing, and be consistent with continually adding to the ETF. Buying ETFs is a great starting point, especially inside of a Roth IRA. Now you know stocks are ownership and ETFs are diversified ownership. So now it's no longer the question of what company do I buy? Which one winner do I have to pick? Now it's more of what ETF do I purchase? So we need to think about a few things. What are you going to pay the company to take all those stocks and put them in a package for you? You have to pay them a small fee. So you'll find there's ETFs all over the place. There's specialty ones related to semiconductors. There's the S&P 500. There's dividend related ETFs. There's international. And every one of them has a fee. And that fee is called an expense ratio. So you're going to pay a small fee for them to basket all those companies up for you and put that ETF together for you, so you only have to buy one ticker. The more you get into investing, the more you'll see some companies have much lower expense ratios on their ETFs than others. You'll find that Vanguard is one of the lowest. You'll see Charles Schwab is also fairly low. So over time you'll start to learn, like, oh, okay, you can buy an ETF that's the S&P 500. That's the top 500 companies in the United States. You can buy that from this company and you can buy it from this company. This company charges 0.06% expense ratio and this one charges 0.03% expense ratio. So you're like, oh, okay, I'm going with this one. It's the same stocks, basket into a package for you, put into a basket for you, but they're charging you less money to do that for you. Next, I want to tell you about the S&P 500, okay? So the S&P 500 is the largest 500 US companies. When someone says to you like the stock market or the market, that's usually what they're referring to. It's considered the benchmark. The S&P 500 is market cap weighted. Market cap is just the value of the company. Basically what the market cap is, it's the share price, so the price of one share, multiplied by how many shares exist, makes up the market cap of the business. This is what makes the S&P 500 so powerful. It's market cap weighted, so it's self-cleansing. So it constantly updates itself. So for example, like let's say you were to buy 10 single stocks and have them in your account. When things change within those companies and one of them becomes less valuable, it's not going to fall off and be replaced with a better company that's better in the list for your account. But inside the S&P 500, if you were to buy, for example, a ticker symbol like VOO from Vanguard. That's what I have. This is not financial advice, by the way, but that's what I have a lot of the money for my children and my personal funds in. It's a self-cleansing, exchange-traded fund, that index fund that tracks the S&P 500. It's low cost, so it has a very low expense ratio. So I can focus on consistency. I can continually add to it. That's called dollar cost averaging. So over time, let's say there's an average. You sometimes buy above it, sometimes you buy below it. You don't know if people say the stock market's overvalued, it's undervalued. You don't care. You buy 500 companies, the best companies in the United States, and over time, you buy the average. And what happens is, the companies that do better matter more within it and take up more space inside the list, and the ones that go down in value matter less. And you don't have to worry about which ones those are. Because I'm going to throw up a video on the screen real quick to show you over time, from like the 1990s to 2020, how many companies have gone into the top 10 list of the S&P 500 and been the top 10 largest companies in the United States, and then have fallen off the list. So this fallacy that we can continue to pick winners year over year for long periods of time is really a gamble. In the past 3 years, 85% of actively managed funds, so these are funds with companies that are picking single stocks and saying they're going to outperform, they're saying, give me your money, don't put it in the S&P 500, I'm going to make more money for you, I'm going to give you a better return this year than the S&P 500. 85% of those underperform the S&P 500. And over a 10-year, when you extend it out, 10-year, 15-year, it's like 96% underperform. So the data's there. And the other thing is that once you start investing, you're going to realize if you get really into it, it can take up a lot of space in your head and it can stress you out. People don't underperform because of what they bought. A lot of times it's because of emotion. We're our own worst enemies. So we can't trust ourselves to have conviction in what it is we bought. So we sell, buy again, sell low, buy high. So when you keep things simple, you're going to have good results over a long period of time. The main goal is to keep consistent. It's not financial advice, but I just want to explain to you in this video basically like what a stock is, what an ETF is, and how I think that if you're just starting out with something like VOO, and there's other S&P 500 index funds you can buy, but starting out with something like VOO that's low cost, or the total stock market, which is VTI. So instead of the top 500 companies in the United States, you're buying the entire US stock market, and that's VTI. VOO and VTI will have similar performance over the long term. But even Warren Buffett, who owns Berkshire Hathaway, and Charlie Munger was upset with him when he said this, that for his wife, he has the money allocated to be 10% short-term treasuries, 90% the S&P 500.